lady-owned, classic Japanese sports car. These are phrases which we love to hear. In this garage here, behind this door, is exactly that. A really rare, certainly in Britain, very, very rare, classic rear-wheel drive Japanese sports car with a bizarre engine. You know what I'm talking about. And it's owned by a lady here called Bev, and she hasn't even opened this garage door in, she thinks, about 20 years because it broke and it hurt her head. She hasn't had the car out in possibly 30 years. So today, this is a very exciting, very rare groove Japanese barn find episode of the Late Break Show. So Bev, we're in your house. You've been put up to this by a work colleague.
That's right.
To let me in to look at your RX7, which I believe is behind this door. What amazes me is the fact that you said to me that you haven't opened that garage door, the big one, the main one, for like 2 decades or something.
About that, yes.
Because it attacked you.
Yeah, it did. It fell on my head.
It fell on your head?
Yeah, because it's broken.
And so you haven't opened that. And the car, how long has the car been in here? What's the situation with the car?
It's been in there since the early 90s.
Really?
Yeah.
So 30 years?
Yeah, approximately that, yeah, it will have been.
Wow. Why?
Well, it was starting to get a bit tricky gearbox-wise, and although I was using it every day, it wasn't ideal driving like that, going into a major city.
Yeah.
So I decided to get something else, and I thought, I'll sort it out, I'll get it back on the road, I'll get it to a specialist, and then life just took over, and it's been in there ever since.
So you bought it when? You've had it in there for 30 years. You've owned it for how many years?
Well, I bought it in, I think it was 1988.
88?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and it's a 1983 car.
Yeah. Yeah.
What made you buy an RX-7? Because they were quite rare then, I would say.
Yes, they were, yeah. Well, I was just curious about it. I've always been into cars and motorbikes, and saw it up for sale and thought, yeah.
Was it that simple?
It was that simple, yeah. I liked the look of it. It was, an interesting car. You didn't see many, and I like that.
Oh my gosh! And what? I know you've had motorbikes for many years before that, so this was just sort of like a bad weather vehicle.
Well, yeah, I'd always had a car and a bike as well.
Yeah.
What
cars have you had?
Well, XR3i I had at one time. Triumph GT6. A couple of Datsun 260Zs.
Oh, Zs.
Yeah.
They're cool cars. Yeah.
Yeah. Mark 1 Audi Quattro TT.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw you have a TT now.
I do, yes, yeah.
So you still like your sports cars, your 2-door sports cars?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. So is time just kind of drifted by, and you said that it's covered in boxes and
it is, yeah,
sheets and...
It's become a bit of a dumping ground, I'm afraid, for things that you tend to shove in your garage, and it's been covered in old carpeting and boxes.
And it's a cat activity centre?
At the moment, yes, yeah. We've got some young cats that are bringing on, and they're allowed to go in there. It's their outdoors, indoors, so I can keep an eye on them.
So it's a rotary engined cat activity centre?
It is.
Basically. Can I have a look?
Of course.
Let's have a look. Look at it. Hang on, now, where's the light? Gosh. It is, isn't it? It's all tucked up in hibernation. So I can see by the back door, or the main door, there's a few boxes and things, but that's okay. You've left it exactly as it's always sat. So you think it's been there for 30 years? Gosh, okay.
Yeah, certainly since the early 90s when I stopped using it.
Wow, okay. And because it's a rotary, and I don't have a great deal of experience with working, in fact I've never worked on a rotary in my life, and we do try and sometimes see if we can fire up cars on barn finds. I've actually found a guy called Josh who's on his way over. He's a bit of a guru for rotaries, and I have a lot of faith in him. But in the meantime, I think we'll start pulling bits out and we'll have a look at what it's like. Because I believe the first generation RX7s, not many have survived in Britain. They didn't sell a huge amount in Britain, but not many have survived because rust has been their nemesis, and possibly the complexity and the fear of the rotary has put a lot of people off. Wow. Right, let's start pulling some bags off then, I think. This is a terrific amount of rugs and cloths on this car. I love it. I mean, there's a lot. There's like, what, 4 layers or something? It's amazing.
Several layers.
Is this to make it cat resistant? What was it like to drive? I've never driven one of these.
Heavy.
Was it?
Yeah, they're very heavy. No power steering or anything, of course, on them. And
so quite a physical car.
yeah, they are quite. Parking it was fun.
Was it?
Yeah, you'd be out of breath.
Mazda, basically the rotary engine made Mazda's name. They decided to take on this design, you know, the rotary idea, which was a German design. NSU, who did it originally, it bankrupted them. They never quite got it right. Citroën invested in the license and it nearly bankrupted Citroën. Mazda invested in it and went, well, I think we can do this. And they were the ones that perfected the recipe, making sure that the engine didn't sort of pre-wear with the seals. And not only that, is they decided to put it in a sports car to make it look sexy and desirable, whereas Citroën and NSU didn't do that.
Yeah.
I love the fact that your hanging baskets are petrol.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I know that they were notoriously quite thirsty.
Red cans that you don't get anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. But a sunroof.
It has got a sunroof.
Yeah. I've noticed the rust spots. You've treated them. You've painted it with some sort of rust killer. Haven't you?
It was just well, you used to do back in the day, didn't you?
Yeah.
You would to stop it getting any worse. Yeah, I think the last test certificate I've got is 90,000.
90,000 miles.
Yeah, 90,621. That was in. What's the date on that? I haven't got my glasses on.
94.
94.
94 was the last MOT.
That's the last one I've got, yeah.
Wow, so that's a while ago. Are you going to keep it? I mean, we might get it running today. I can't promise, but we'll give it a really good look over. We might even clean it. I'll clean it for you. But it'd be interesting to see. You've had it all this time. Is it something that you kind of feel like you want to keep, or have you had your time with it? And
I'm thinking that I'd love it to go to somebody who really knows them and would appreciate it and be able to restore it to how it should be running again. Because I know I will never have the time now.
Really?
I will never have the time, no, to do it.
Would you maybe sell it on the proviso that when it's back on the road you get a drive of it again?
Oh, I wouldn't mind that.
That'd be all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would love to drive it again.
That would be cool. This car came out in '78 in its home territory, Japan, '79 in Europe, and in 1980 and '81 it won the British Touring Car Championships with Win Percy at the wheel. Some awesome livery on those cars, and in '81 it won the Spa 24-hour race, thus proving that this kind of an engine could be reliable. And of course it's actually a very small, light engine because it doesn't follow the conventional pattern of a piston engine. It's a very, very odd, fascinating idea. I'll put a diagram on the screen of it, but basically it's like a triangular rotor or pair of rotors moving around in a chamber that's kind of like a fat 8 shape, and of course the tips of each of the 3 parts have to seal the combustion chambers, and that was what Mazda managed to perfect that other manufacturers didn't. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to clear a couple more bits up, and then I'm going to go outside and try and tackle this door, and then we can get round the back there, get rid of some of those bits, and hopefully we'll be able to open up the car and have a closer look. Bev was just telling me she's got some pictures of this on her previous cars, the Datsun 260s. She said that she had a Siamese cat that used to go everywhere with her in the car. So she used to take her Siamese cat out in this for road trips, which is amazing. Imagine seeing this with a cat in a harness in the passenger seat. Just brilliant. Some barn finds on the Late Break Show are easier than others. This is actually a pretty organised garage and doesn't require physical digging, whereas if you've watched previous barn finds on this show, you'll know sometimes a lot of, the Sierra required a lot of physical work just to get access to the car. I really hope we just might hear a rotary engine today. Do you want me to start fettling the door? So it's your left-hand side that's jammed. Push the top of it, I reckon. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, watch your heads, watch your heads. That's it.
Easy. Easy. So that's the first time the door has been open in several decades. Amazing, really. Look at this. The original number plate, Mazda badged. I found that cat play toy, Bev. Is it shaped like a fish?
You're getting all grubby.
Is it shaped like a fish, that cat toy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it. It's down here. It's under the exhaust.
I knew it'd be somewhere under there.
Yeah.
Look
There
at
you
that.
go. There you go. We'll shut the garage door now. It's the end
Yeah,
of the video. We
that
found the
was-
cat toy. The end.
Yeah.
I think we should have a rug festival.
Don't even remember some of
Do
them.
you? There it is. Cool shape. It's been a really long time since I've seen one. A really long time. Even at shows and things, I can't remember the last time I saw one. So I said at the start of this Barn Find episode that I needed the help of an expert adult who knew about rotary engines. Hence this man here, Josh Scott. I thought I'd bring him along. Josh knows an awful lot more about rotaries than I do, but it was interesting that when I spoke to you about it, even you were surprised at an early RX7, because you said you don't really see or hear about them anymore, certainly in the UK.
Yeah.
And how many of these have you ever worked on?
I've only ever worked on 2 of these, being quite honest.
Wow. Okay.
They're exceptionally rare, only because, like most import cars, they were never really prepared for UK salt. So ultimately they just rust away.
They crumbled.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to have a look and see how many were left on British roads.
Yeah.
It looked like it was sort of like single digits almost.
Yeah.
But I don't know how accurate that is. I know that these are all a similar spec, this generation of car, from what I could see. Obviously that engine is non-turbo,
Yeah.
carburettor. But what was when I was reading up about early RX7s, I totally forgot how successful they were in racing. Totally forgot how light they were.
Yeah.
Totally forgot that they're a solid axle rear end with this sort of 4-link. And we were just saying earlier, I didn't have a rack and pinion steering, had a steering box.
That's correct.
So this
yeah.
weird combination of like space age styling and aero, but like old school steering box, old school solid axle at the rear, but really light.
Yeah. And that was the winning recipe for Mazda. They knew how to make really good sports cars. For them, the winning recipe was power to weight. Get the weight as low as possible. Make the car as agile as possible, and then have a nice revving engine. You know, in motorsport, you've got engines that rev, way past 10,000 RPM, and they wanted the public to have a slice of that, really. Now, as we were saying earlier, these were mainly aimed at the American market, so naturally you're going to have components that seem quite clunky, like the steering box and the live axle. That was just the norm, but it was still a really light car back then. And in a world full of V8s, you know, anything up to like 8 litres of displacement.
It was a totally different idea, wasn't it? Completely different idea to that.
Yeah, it was completely different, you know. In terms of the engine size, I mean, this is a 12A, so it's a 1.2. And
Amazing, amazing.
Versus like your Chevy small blocks with like, you know, 5.7 litres of displacement.
Yeah.
It was kind of, you know.
It's a cool thing, it's a cool thing. I've got the key here, Bev's given me the key.
Yeah.
So maybe we can unlock it for the first time and actually have a look under the bonnet and maybe think about pulling it onto the drive.
Let's have a little look here. Oh. That's jammed. We may be releasing it from the inside. It's been here a while.
Yeah, it has been here a while. Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
I think it's been a long time since the garage door was opened, and I had to clear out sort of the gardening paraphernalia from around it. We might end up going in through the. Yeah, I reckon passenger side. When did they start calling rotary engines Renesis? Is that a different generation of?
Yeah,
because my rotary knowledge is not brilliant.
So Renesis, it's what do you call it? It's basically a code word.
Okay.
And it refers to the engine itself. It's a rotary engine. So REN. Side exit, side intake.
Is that what it is?
Other way around, intakes, yeah. It's about the port arrangement, basically.
And that was the RX-8 or pre...
That's it, RX-8.
Because I said to you on the phone, I remember when the RX-8 was launched, I was working on a car magazine, and I remember we tested one when it was new, and we were very funny about making sure it was warmed up, cold idling for a while before you move away. And the other thing, they gave me a sort of working... model of the Renesis engine, which my nephew now has because I gave it to him. He's now obsessed with rotary engines.
Yeah.
I've said to him, "What are you going to get for your first car?" Because he's like 15. I want to get an RX-7. I went, well, okay, going in high,
straight in there.
Yeah, I've got this. This is moving now.
I'm in.
Are you?
I'm in.
Oh well, I'm not. So you've won. Yeah. you've won.
I'll take that. Oh wow. This interior is pristine.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean a bit of mould on the...
I can see on the gear knob and the steering wheel there's a bit of fur. Yeah, this is just solid. Is that solid down there?
Yeah.
It does say stop thief on the door. It says stop thief. The identity of this vehicle is permanently engraved on the windows and cannot be removed. Well, there you go, just so everybody knows. Honestly, who needs a gym? Working class gym. I only do one leg, I'm like a crab. I've got a fighting claw and I've got an eating claw.
3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, go. Now that we've got the RX out into the winter sun, apart from the mouldy steering wheel and the gear knob, is actually really good. It's really good in here. Like the carpets I was having a look at, there's no mice, no sign of any mice in here, which is always a good thing. An amazing amount of brown in it. Brown dash, brown headlining, brown plastics everywhere. But you were saying that they come with quite a lot of kit, like tech as standard, because that I wasn't expecting. Electric adjustable mirrors.
Yeah, electric mirrors, electronic tailgate release as well as fuel flap release. Yeah. And it's got electric windows as well.
Yeah. It looks really, really cool. Had a quick look. Can't open the boot yet, but when we hook it up to a battery, it might release on the solenoid, which would be good. The condition of the upholstery is really excellent. All that's left to do, I suppose, is to... We haven't had a look under the engine bay. I need to have a look at that. We popped it, but we've waited. We've waited. We need to have a look at the engine.
Yeah, let's get that open, shall we?
Come on then, Josh. This is what you've been waiting for.
Beautiful 12A, carbureted.
So this is called a 12A, is it? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Right.
so this is a naturally aspirated 115 horsepower unit.
Yeah.
That they used for quite a few years before switching to the 13B on the later GSL model from 83, I believe.
Yeah. So they did in later ones were injected and then turboed.
Yeah, that's it.
Brake lines and hard lines, they look really good actually.
Yeah, they're actually in good condition.
And
They've
then,
still got the original coating on them.
So the coil, see, this is all quite alien to me. The coils are sat in their own little like den in the inner wing. You've got the alternator sat right on the top. A ton of space down here where I can see the steering, the old school steering setup.
Yep.
And then the guts of the opening headlamps. Now maybe when we hook it up to 12 volt, who knows, the headlights might work.
I'd imagine they would.
That'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool if they do. So what's the first, I mean, like, it's been sat for 30 years.
Yeah.
It looks pretty honest, but I don't really know. I mean, beyond knowing that fuel will be old, what's the angle of attack?
So first things first, we put power to it. Make sure all the electrics work within the car. Make sure that
Dash lights.
Yeah, make sure it's live basically. Once we've done that, what I'd like to do is disconnect any fuel supply basically.
Yeah.
So disconnect the fuel line from the carb, and then just crank it, see if the starter motor engages, see if it turns, and if it does, we can pretty much take a plug out, take a lead off, put a plug on the other end.
Yeah.
Make sure that's sparking. If we've got that, then we'll make our own fuel supply.
Yeah.
So little hose, gravity feed it to the carb.
Yeah.
And then we can hopefully start it at that point.
Okay.
Shouldn't be too much work.
I've brought fuel, and I've
Cool.
brought some funnels, and I've brought some penetrating oil,
Sweet.
and a couple of tools, but nothing specialist and rotary.
All right, no
So
problem.
I will shadow you and your procedure, Josh.
No worries at all.
All right.
Let's crack on then.
There we go.
Oh, that's pretty clean, is that?
That's really clean.
Yeah. Even the air filter's actually quite reasonable.
I think this has been. Well, I mean, I was looking at the oil filter, thinking that looked quite recent as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is good.
That
Really
looks
good.
right. Well, there's the throat of the carb anyway.
Yep.
Do you want me to take this off, or do you want me to just leave it open?
Leave it for now.
Yeah.
That's fine where it is. I will go retrieve my battery, and then we'll have a little look.
I was going to say, yeah, I've bought one just in case as well, but I think.
Oh, do you actually have one?
I do have a battery.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know how good it is, but it's started
alright.
quite a few cars up in its life. I'll go and get it.
A moment of truth.
I'm not going to stand next to the siren when you turn the ignition on, just in case. I'll get ready to. Whoa! Oh, there you go. There's a.
That's excellent. I'll turn the wipers off.
So is that fuel?
No, I think that's the blower motor. Oh no.
I reckon it's fuel.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because
Actually.
you can hear it down the throat of the car.
Oh, it's exciting.
Yeah. Soon know if there's a hole in the rad, won't we? Ready?
Yep. We've got it.
The lights are flickering.
That's good.
The clock has started ticking in the centre console, which is really important, obviously.
Yeah, it's definitely got a fuel pump on it.
Well,
Nothing's coming out though.
yeah, which means it's dry.
We'll run it off petrol then, I suppose. We'll run it directly to the carb.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So what we'll do is, I'm guessing, we'll keep those fuel pipes removed,
Yeah.
turn the ignition on, let the fuel pump prime, See what gunge comes out.
Yeah.
Leave it to gunge out for a while,
Yeah.
and we'll just observe the condition of the fuel then.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. This doesn't pour very well, by the way. It's not me being incompetent. It's just not a very good pouring fuel can. I've had it many years. It's trusty, but at the same time, my hands are now soaked in petrol. So I'm gonna have to pass on that cigar, if that's all right.
That's fine by me. Do I dare suck it through?
Don't get a mouthful.
Cool, I felt something.
Old school energy drink. Meanwhile, Josh is kissing the rotary.
Make love.
Totally empty so far. Nothing.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely 2 gallons in it.
The hard lines actually don't look too bad. I mean, they are rusty, but not as bad as I once thought. But yeah, I think the fuel filter might be plastic.
Yeah.
So the ends of it might be a bit
Brittle.
brittle, yeah.
So remind me again why it has 2 coils.
So leading and trailing, obviously they're 2 different parts of the ignition system. So leading fires in the bottom of the housing,
Yeah.
trailing fires on the top of the housing. It'd be a lot of load for one coil to make both plugs fire at the same time, I'm assuming.
Because
anyway.
what, there's just a large amount of time in between each one or something?
Yeah, they've got to, yeah.
Because it's almost like what aircraft have, isn't it? Aircraft have, I think, extra coils.
Oh, right.
But they usually have backups.
Right,
So
yeah.
they can run on one if need be. And I guess this could run on one
Yeah,
with the leading.
absolutely,
And
yeah.
it would just be less efficient.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so technically you could run it on just the leading, and the trailing, well, it's just there as an afterburner, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. Shall I see if the headlights work?
Go for it.
Shall we? Okay, you ready? Lights on.
Wow, they work.
They work.
I don't know how fast they are.
They're really smooth.
Yeah.
Okay, so we now have spark.
Yep.
Clean the rotor arm. We've got fuel about to go in here because I think we've got a blockage in the fuel tank or probably the fuel filter, and we can address that, but we thought we'd try the old school method first. Spray a little bit of stuff into its throat first. Then I'm going to sit here and act as the fuel pump while Josh checks that everything's all right.
All right.
Right, so I'm going to prime it
Yep.
with a jar of petrol. With a fairly hashed together. Okay,
Are we ready?
I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be.
Cool. You want to go for it again?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Wow! Listen to it! Oh, I think I just...
No, that was me. I just came off the throttle then.
Right,
Ready?
yes.
Let's go.
That's just fuel coming out of here, isn't it?
Aye.
Listen to how smooth that is. That's really smooth. Really smooth.
That was just running out there, but yeah.
That's really, really good.
I'm pleased with
I'm,
that.
I'm amazed because I thought, especially cold start as well, I thought it'd be stumbling. It hasn't got exactly the right fuel delivery. We've kind of bodged up this little delivery service of fuel. That was really nice.
I'm impressed.
I'm really.
It sounds so smooth.
It does.
It's silky smooth, and that's one of the traits that people loved about these engines.
Yeah.
Certainly at its time.
Yeah, that's really good. So it's been 30 years since you've heard that.
Yeah.
And 30 years since you've seen the pop-up lights.
And the pop-up lights, yes.
That's really cool, right?
Yeah, it is. Incredible.
I reckon you did have it serviced just before you put it away because it looks too fresh.
Yeah.
It all looks a bit fresh. The oil's very good as well. That's really cool. I was quite shocked at how well it picked up and just sat there and went, yeah, I'm all right, I'm alive.
That was just stress-free. I'm happy about that.
Oh, it's all right. We're going to have to get a bit of speed up.
Yeah, so it's going that
Keep
side,
going.
that way, isn't it?
Oh, the final hurdles.
That's right.
There we go. I call that a win today. I mean, when we turned up this morning, completely buried in rugs and cloths, and you don't really ever know what the car is like. You don't really know what it's, what bits are going to work and not work after 30 years of sitting dormant. Did a good job that. That was so smooth when it struck up. I was spooked out by how smooth it was. And I think it's a fundamentally very solid car. Yeah, there's lots of scabs on it, but they're mostly cosmetic scabs.
Yeah.
It's actually fully up together car, and I believe that you're thinking of selling the car. So
Yes.
if there's someone watching this who's genuinely interested in a UK first generation Mazda RX-7 that hasn't been modified, has quite a lot of interesting history, including Siamese cat passengers, then get in touch with the show below and we'll put you on to Bev. I want to say thanks to you, Josh, for helping to strike up the rotary.
That's all right, no problem.
I've had a real lesson in rotary today. It's been brilliant. And thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please, why not subscribe? And maybe you know of a vehicle that's in a hedge, on a drive, in a real barn or in a garage like this that might need a bit of attention and care. If so, get in touch. Thank you.